Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the third episode of our podcast, Duel MBA. I'm pretty excited about this episode as this is a subject that I'm very curious to learn about. We are going to be talking about branding today. What is it that attracts customers to a brand? What are the components that make up a good brand? I have more such questions today for which I'd like to know both Mr. MBA and Marwari Seth's opinions. I bet all of you listeners are also eagerly excited as I am. I am a keen follower of facts behind the name of a brand. Some of my favorites are that Pepsi is named after the digestive enzyme pepsin. And Lego is named after a Danish word, leg godt, which means play well. And more such trivia. Let's now go ahead and find out more about the value creation through brand from the experts, Mr. MBA and Marwari Seth. So my first question for today to Mr. MBA and Marwari Seth is, what is branding and why is it important? Mr. MBA, I would like to hear from you what your take on this is.
Sure. So, branding by definition is a marketing practice in which a company creates a name, symbol, or design that is easily identifiable as belonging to the company. Yeah. This helps to identify your product and distinguish it from other products and services. Branding is important because it not only makes a memorable impression on the consumers, but also allows your customers and clients to know what to expect from your organization. Branding is very critical to the business because of the overall impact it has on the company. Branding can change how people perceive your brand. It can drive new business and increase brand awareness.
Mr. MBA, I'm curious to know how you think branding increases business.
Yeah, I'm coming to that. So the most important reason branding is important to a business is because it is how a company gets recognition and becomes known to the customers. The logo is the most important element of branding as it is essentially the face of the company. A good brand will have no trouble drumming up referral business. Strong branding generally means there is a positive impression of the company amongst consumers and they are likely to do business with you because of the familiarity and assumed dependability of using a name they can trust. Once a brand has been well established, word of mouth will be the company's best and most effective advertising technique.
Thank you, Mr. MBA. That was a wonderful definition to what branding is. Marwari Seth, what do you have to say about this?
See, for me, a brand is an extension of the company. The company and the company values make the brand, not the other way around. Okay, think of all the famous brands you know of, like Amazon, Apple, Tata's. The branding happened much later. The initial focus is on building the company, defining a set of values of the organization, and only then trying to figure out a brand. What Mr. MBA was referring to with referral business, that comes from the work that I have done in the past for clients, nothing else. Dependability also, same thing. Trust also, same. Now tell me honestly, will you trust an advertisement and a logo over someone you have worked with in the past? I'm not so sure. I focus on fixing all of these basics first. It is only after all this is done that I focus on branding. So branding is important, sure, but it comes later. A heavy focus on branding without any of this pre-work will only hurt a company.
Thank you, Marwari Seth. That was a very thought-provoking definition you gave there. Will I really trust a company over the logo and advertisement alone? That's something that I definitely want to think about. For the next question, I have a very simple question, but I would love to hear from you for the answer for this, which is how to start your own brand from scratch. Marwari Seth, why don't you answer this for us first?
So I mentioned earlier that the brand is an extension of my company or my product. So I start there. I ask myself and my team three questions. What are we really selling? Why do customers buy from us? And what do we as a company feel strongly about? Once we have the answers to these three questions, the brand automatically falls into place. we have the answers for all of the questions on our branding. There will be, of course, some more work on the side elements of the branding, right? The logo, the tagline, and all of that. But it all comes from these three answers. Focus on these three questions, and most of your work on branding is done.
Thank you, Marwari Seth, for your insight on that question. Mr. MBA, what do you have to say about this?
Well, building a brand from the ground up, that sounds out is no easy task. Definitely it's not easy. What should it look like? How should it make people feel? Will it resonate with my target audience? These are questions that inevitably comes up when you start thinking about how to connect the dots between what you're selling and what you're trying to reach. I think that building a brand is all about following the steps that I'm going to talk about now. So number one, research your target audience and your competitors. Number two, pick your focus and personality. Number three, choose your business name. Number four, write your slogan. 5, choose the look of your brand. 6, design your logo. And 7, apply your branding across your business.
Wow. Okay, that was a very structured process of starting your own brand from scratch. And thank you, Mr. MBA, for that answer. My next question to you guys would be something about what you spoke earlier in one of your answers, which is you spoke about applying the brand values across the business. And how would you do it? I'm curious to know that. Mr. MBA, why don't you answer this for us first?
Mm-hmm. So applying your branding across your business gives it a cohesive brand story. A brand story represents how your business is and what it stands for. It sets the stage for every interaction customers have with your brand, in store and online. In Apple's research on what wins buyer and customer trust, we found that buyers shopping on an online store for the first time often look for a business's mission and purpose to see if they share any values with the business. Example, sustainability, for example. They will turn to its About Us page to learn more about who they are buying from, and for more socially conscious customers, how the business is run. If your business has a brand story, do share it, because it can help the shopper feel reassured yours is a legit business. Your positioning statement can get you started, but to craft a brand story, ask yourself a few questions. For example, what motivated me to start my business? Why does the company even exist? How do we contribute to the world? What is the story behind my business and the customer should know? Not every business is mission-driven, you see. But if yours has a mission or value, share your brand story and let the customers know why the business was started. That's my take.
Awesome. Thanks, Mr. MBA. I think I can relate to the times when I have looked for a brand story and then I've placed more trust after listening to the brand story. So I can totally relate to that. So yeah, thank you for that answer. Marwari Seth, what do you have to say about this?
See, why does anyone start a business or a company? To make money, no. Now, branding has to help you do that. We already have customers. Now, what do they like most about buying from us? Is it the service? Is it the on-time delivery? Maybe it's price. Maybe it's something else. Right? So first I'll talk to customers, understand this, and that becomes a valuable input on what to focus on. Let's say my customers value on-time delivery the most. Of course, that is what I will focus on operationally as well, but that is a separate conversation. But in the branding and selling, it becomes something to focus on when I'm selling, when I'm advertising. And the rest is just tools and techniques on how to get the message across to my potential customers.
Thanks, Marwari. So that was a very cutthroat and direct answer. So simple to apply as well. That's, definitely something to think about. My next question to you guys is, brands are so etched in our minds that evolving them is something difficult, I believe. So do you think brands need to evolve? If yes, how would you do it? Marwari Seth, why don't you answer this for us first?
So I don't think that brands need to evolve so much. I think the core of the brand always remains the same. And I'm talking about the brand only, not logo, shogo, tagline, all of that will change and that's fine. But how can you change the core of the brand? That is like changing the complete personality of a person. It doesn't happen very often, and even when it does, it is never sudden or fast.
Hey, but you cannot remain static, yeah?
Sure, Baba, but there is a huge spectrum between static and panic. Take things like this slowly. Build the company well, make your customer happy, and continuously improve. The brand doesn't get better or worse. It is your reputation that gets better or worse over time. More people get to know about the brand. So I would say once you have a brand in place, focus on other things as well.
Wow, that was a heavy insight on why brands should not evolve. I'm curious to know what Mr. MBS has to say about the same question. Over to you, Mr. MBA.
Yes, of course, it is important for brands to evolve. Building a brand doesn't stop with creating a logo or slogan, or even with your brand launch. Your brand needs to exist and remain consistent wherever your customers interact with you. From the theme you choose for your website, the marketing materials you produce, all the way to how you package and ship your products. You'll continue to shape and evolve your brand as you expose more customers to it and learn more about your customers in terms of how you speak to them. It's important to appreciate that you will never have 100% control over how people perceive your brand. You can tuck customers in the right direction, make a great first impression, and manage your reputation. But can't control the individual perceptions that exist in each person's mind. For example, if they had a bad customer service experience, what are you going to do about it? Can you change it? Maybe you can, but it's still a lot of effort. So all you can do is put your best foot forward at every turn and try to resonate with your core audience. But hopefully at this point, you have the tools, knowledge, and resources to start. That's what I have to say.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. MBA. I think I really enjoyed the duality of opinions on this answer because Marwari Seth spoke about how the core values has to be something that's very, very strong. And you spoke about more of a fluctuating, playing around with the perception of the brand a little bit. And I really enjoyed both of your insights on this one. So thank you. This has been a fantastic discussion. After the discussion, I'm looking forward to apply the structural process for creating a brand from scratch, like the one that Mr. MBA took us through. And I'd like to think about how I can hold on to the core values of my brand, like the one that Marwari Seth spoke about. We will come back with more such debates and discussions next week. Until then, keep learning. Bye. Thanks for watching the episode. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more such content.